Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to do a Rough Cuts review for you. Right now, I'm having some Schlafly Oktoberfest beer. I highly recommend drinking an October beer. If you have the chance, whether it's a pumpkin ale or a Belgian Oktoberfest or whatever you can get your hands on wherever you're at, I highly recommend it. Deliciousness in a bottle. Okay, on to more interesting news. What I will be reviewing for you this week, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but it is one of my favorite of the series, Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I mean, come on, how awesome is that cover? Just so captivating and scary. This actually came out of the pack of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It's all the DVDs together. Up until this one, which is the 7th in the series. It doesn't include Freddy vs. Jason. It came out before the pack came out before that movie was made, I think. Basically, like I said, it's the 7th in the series. It followed Freddy's Dead. It's right around 1994. Rated R, obviously, an hour and a half. Directed by Wes Craven. So that's kind of big because a lot of them were not directed by Wes Craven or had nothing to do with them. I know part 1 and 3 were, I used to know, I can't remember if Freddy's Dead was or not, but he wanted to come back. He had this idea for New Nightmare for a very long time. It's not just any other ordinary Freddy sequel. For some reason, a lot of people that have watched the Freddy movies had never heard of this, or they didn't know it happened, and I see why. After Freddy's Dead, Freddy just kind of went down. Like, a lot of people had kind of forgotten, not really forgotten about him, but there was other stuff going on in horror at that time. Horror was losing its legs in the movie industry anyway, and it came out in theaters. It lasted like 2 weeks. People don't really remember it. I don't know. I guess it's just a lot of people have not seen this film for some reason. I really debated on how to talk about this movie because I don't want to give things away, but there is a much deeper plot, and I use that term a lot, and just it's a thicker plot. It's more, to me, more interesting than the plot of a lot of the previous films. As much fun as any of the Freddys can really be, depending on what you're in the mood for. They could be a lot of fun, and, you know, the kids running around getting killed and trying to beat the monster and figure out a way to trick him, and he's always, as the movies went on, he came up with the one-liners. This is not that at all. It is fun, but it's not one of those, like, fun horror movies. They do a good job of making it feel very creepy and bringing Freddy back to his roots of being a nightmare demon, is what he is. And the overall gist of it is, what if Freddy were kind of a demon and real? So they kind of, and you know, and there's words for what I'm trying to say, and they escape me from my vocabulary right now. But it's more of, you know, real life kind of. And you've got Robert Englund in it, playing Freddy and kind of playing himself. You've got Wes Craven. You've got Heather Langenkamp. Which, on a side note, something interesting about her is right now she has filmed a movie called I Am Nancy. It's a documentary. I've not got to see it yet because I don't think it's available. But she's taking it around to conventions, and it's just, I really wanted to see it when I first heard about it because I like anything about Nightmare on Elm Street, but now I've heard that it kind of sounds like she's just talking about how people don't really recognize her as Nancy. When they think of Nightmare on Elm Street, they think of only Freddy, but I've always disagreed with that. I remember Nancy being the true heroine from, you know, part 1, so I'm real interested to see her take on it, and she just talks, apparently she got some real good interviews of people who were really touched and affected by Nightmare on Elm Street, how they grew up watching those horror movies and it helped them get into, like, careers that they decided to do, or it just helped them get through times that they were having a really rough time in their life. And so that's cool that she did that. I do want to see that, and that's, you know, cool that the actress did something like that. Another interesting fact about this is during the movie, I guess they had about 2 weeks left of filming. They were filming in LA, and the LA earthquake hit of 1994. Many of you probably remember that, some of you don't. and in the movie there's an earthquake. So they had filmed a lot of the earthquake scenes before the real one, but then afterwards, you know, to go back and do editing and stuff, they were able to use a lot of the real footage just because they said it was so terrifying and scary from the real earthquake that they were able to put that into the movie. So a lot of the earthquake footage you see in this movie is from the real earthquake of 1994. As far as does this movie scare you, the only reason I would say not as much now is because it's, you know, going on 20 years old almost, you know, 1994. It is kind of dated, and it is a little slower in that way. However, it's still got that feel of, if you could just, like, if you do start to believe from the very beginning, you're just, oh man, what if? And I think they do a real good job of explaining how Freddy could be real. That's me. I thought it was very creative. I liked where they went with it. It was a good end to cap to the whole Freddy phenomenon to me. And then they made Freddy vs. Jason, which I actually like. But one big A+ in this movie, besides getting a lot of cool characters back, is there are many, like you'd call them Easter eggs for Nightmare on Elm Street fans. You will see pictures, you will hear lines, like actors saying different lines, you'll notice actors and actresses, all things from previous movies. So look for them, and after you've watched the movie, get online and see some of the stuff you might have missed. You'll see a lot of shit in this movie if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, fan. You'll notice things that the director and the writers and stuff just kind of threw in just for you. Also, the kid who plays Heather's son, or Nancy's son in the movie, Miko Hughes, I think is his name. He was the kid from Pet Sematary. Great job in this. Great job. I don't know how old he was when he did this movie. Probably 5, 6 years old at the most. Oh, but he is so creepy when he needs to be, and he's so, like, he really gets you feeling scared when he's scared. And I don't know how they were able to pull that kind of emotion from that little kid, but what a good actor. He was really good in it, and he really sold the role. So, if you are a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, or if you are not, and maybe you want to rewatch this, or if you have not seen it, at least give it a shot. Let me know what you think. A lot of you, I already know, are not going to like this. You're going to say it's the worst of them because it's not a true Freddy film. However, I disagree. I think this is more close to the original, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, than any of the others. And I liked it a lot and thought it did a great job. So, perfect movie to watch around Halloween time. Try an Oktoberfest beer. Definitely like us on Facebook. Watch the other Rough Cutters. I'm sure they're going to be doing some cool movies right around now, especially with Halloween season coming up. And let us all know what you want us to review for you. Until next Saturday, I am Coffee Doug. Thank you very much.
Welcome to my world, bitch.